All right, welcome into the half. Playing with the studio setup, so I'm off kilter. I'll fix it throughout the show here, Eric. But welcome into the half. My name is Aaron Montgomery. You can find me at oursuccessgroup.com. This fine gentleman right here is Mr. Erich Campbell. Eric, we just had a great conversation about caps, so you got to be a pretty happy camper right now.
Yeah, Corey Sissel came on from Cap America on the Two Wheeler Guys podcast this morning, talked all about caps, and admittedly, there's a lot of stuff where I had to keep nodding my head and in the background, not there where anybody could see, but definitely agreeing with some of the stuff Corey was talking about and talking certainly about the things that are the most popular in headwear trends right now, and can't agree with him enough about a lot of the stuff he was seeing, especially patch hats and the difference between sewn on and heat press hats. There's a lot of people who are investing in post-bed machines and doing their job. So a lot more hand-guided sewing going on. And something that I found even in my career, so we're talking about quite some time ago, is that having experienced sewists, depending on who you are, you say that differently. There's lots of different words. I'll certainly try and be good with it. But my mom always called herself a seamstress, and she was a seamstress back in the day before she did warehouse work and logistics later on.
Okay.
But sewists is a term used now. But like trying to have an experienced sewist and having somebody who is doing that work at a high level where you can get parts out, especially at the kind of production levels we're doing in Cap America, yeah, that's for real. That's a hard thing to get sometimes, getting trained. It's the same thing as when we talk about patches and marrowing. True marrowing machines, that's a hand-guided process, and it takes skill and time to learn. So that's it. Whenever somebody asks me, should we get into that? There's always that moment where I'm like, all right, if you have someone who can sew, who even can do any kind of commercial sewing or who is good at sewing at all, that maybe getting patch attachment going on and getting a post-bed machine is cool, but that skilled labor will get you. That's the hard part.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. All right, Eric. Well, let's check in here. We've got Tanya checking in. Hello.
Hi, Tanya.
And Barb. Good morning, Aaron and Eric.
Well, good morning, Barb.
Yeah. And I can't remember if it was Barb. I missed a couple of the comments in Two Regular Guys, but was it Barb that said she had a post-bed machine?
Yeah, Barb said she had gotten a post-bed machine for sewing patches on hats. And like, it's one of those things that's hard because everybody wants to sew patches on hats with their embroidery machine like an applique.
Yeah.
But hats are so unstable. They shift so much. And construction, you would think also the constructed hats with all the stuff inside of them because they're stiff, like that makes them move less. And it's not true at all. They move more. They deflect and they cause all kinds of problems. So yeah, it's hard to do that. And so the gold standard, even now, even with all we have in the world of technology and all the ways we can use our software, the gold standard is still sewing them on manually. That you want, especially those leather patches that have a pre-pressed ditch in them to drop the stitches into, or like PVC patches, which are also a popular option. If you want to hit that thing dead center, that's a hand-guided process.
Wow.
It really is. And so, yeah, I was kind of surprised to hear how much of that they were doing over at Cap America. But yeah, if you're going to do it, the gold standard is to have that machine. If you're going to be sewing patches on hats as de rigueur, that is what you do every day, post-bed machine and learning how to use it is probably it's going to be the gold standard until somebody comes up with awesome automation. So that's just how it's going to have to
be. Yep, for sure. All right. Well, Ramona says, good morning, all. I missed the dad joke. I'm sad. Oh, okay, not that sad, but sorry I missed it.
You know what? Because you joked about it, you shouldn't have said anything because I can get back to the banners from the previous show. And now you're going to get the dad joke, and I'm going to deliver it in the way that I deliver it, flat as we can get.
All right. Looking forward to this.
What do you call a zombie who cooks stir fry? Dead man walking.
It's so freaking hilarious. All right.
It's not, though. It's not, though.
I thought
it's hilarious. It's hilarious in its own way, but in the way that it's not at all hilarious. I accidentally just gave some extra. Yeah, I'm just putting banners up that I.
Yep, riseshine.yoga. There you go. Check it out.
There you go. So kindly enjoy the extra promo because I just hit a banner randomly.
Yep, that's right.
Okay, so lesson learned: don't switch between the different banner panels while we're rocking on the show. Oh well. So,
all right. Well, so what else we got in here?
More comments.
Barb says, I've been sewing for 54 years.
That is a practiced hand. Yes. No,
Yes. Yeah,
and
definitely.
that's sometimes what it takes. That's the thing I always tell people is as embarrassing it is to admit every time somebody says, "Oh, you do embroidery, I bet you can sew." And I'm like, sure.
Yeah,
I can
those are two
hem.
different skills,
Those are two
right?
different skills, and I never really tried that hard to develop the construction sewing skill. So I hem something or put a seam back together if I must? Absolutely. Would I do it for a customer? I don't know. It's a different skill entirely.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Let's see here. Lyndon says, "Good morning, guys,
Morning.
from North Carolina." Good
Good morning,
morning,
Lyndon.
Lyndon.
We've got a
Yeah,
question from David here.
yeah.
What is your first show next year, guys? So I'll go ahead and speak. Now, I know there's
Mm-hmm.
also shows going on, but the first thing I want to say is there's a virtual show we'll talk about in just a second that's still going on for Aaron.
Yeah.
But for me, my first show, in-person trade show, will be Long Beach. So Impressions Expo Long Beach. I have signed a contract to teach 4 classes, including one long workshop. So it sure looks like that's where I'll be, is in Long Beach, California, come January.
Yeah, yeah. There you go. I don't know about Long Beach. I don't know if I
Yeah,
will be there or not.
it's an investment.
It is an
It really
investment,
is. It's a
and
lot.
I'm glad that you're carrying the torch to make sure that there's some good education there. They don't they don't pay enough to make that worthwhile. You have to be either a martyr like Eric, or or there to sell something, right? There to have a booth and be selling something. And when you're there to sell something, you're not there to educate, right? So I don't know. That's a tough thing.
It's hard. It's hard. I think that I understand how
You are
the
the
models are
exception.
set up, but
Yes.
it is hard. No, yeah, I don't generally go with a booth. I have before. You guys know I used to work at Deco Network.
Yep.
I ran a booth there, or was part of a booth that was running there. And I did run the booth when it was at NBM previously. So I did an NBM Long Beach
Hmm.
over there and ran the booth. Did some stuff at Dax where I had the booth for Deco, but at the same time, I started before I had a booth, and I continue on for the sake of doing the education. But yeah, no, it's a little harder because I don't have a big project or a product or a class set that I'm selling or anything. I just go to
Yeah.
teach, which means you're right. It's an investment. That's a
Yeah.
labor of love. You're not coming out of that profitable.
No.
Just
No.
on teaching. And though I do know a lot of people go out and they make their way and they do consulting and they do other things to make it work. Usually my schedule won't allow me to, be out there for 3 weeks trying to pay for the rest of it. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's one of those things. But at the same time, I'm very happy to at least see that we're important and we have space as embroiderers on the floor. So it's nice to do. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
an undertaking, especially Long Beach.
Yeah.
Long Beach is
So yeah, not probably not Long Beach. Who knows? That could change. And then, so I think my first actual show in person next year will be the APA show in
okay.
February in Las Vegas. So
What's
I will.
now? Refresh me on the APA show and
Yeah,
how that.
Awards and Personalization Association.
Yeah, that's
So
what I thought.
yeah, a lot of
Want to make
obviously
sure.
trophies and awards, but so there's heavy sublimation presence there,
Yeah, yeah, of course.
in lasers, engraving, that kind of thing. So yeah, it'd be a good show. I think the fine gentleman from CorelTrainer.com, David, being the one present right now, is they are going to be there as well.
Okay.
I think the guys, the fine folks at Magic Touch will be there. So we'll have our
So
core
yeah,
group of
friends.
people represented. So.
Yeah, so lots of transfers going on there. That's cool. And I know after that, I know things are still firming up. Plans, of course, Dax coming up after that in February. So
Yep.
Dax, Kansas City is the first of the kind of the regional
Yep.
shows, if you want to put
Yep.
it that way.
Yeah,
So
they're
yeah,
still,
that's
like you
that's
said,
neat.
firming up the education there, but our success group does have a booth at all three of the DAC
So there you
shows.
go.
So
So
I
that's
will
the
be there one way
plans.
or
We'll
the other.
see.
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
Whenever I haven't signed something yet, I always tell people like until I sign the thing, I don't know. But that's the plan. So probably Dax, and most definitely though already contracts are in the books. Dates are scheduled for Long Beach for me.
Excellent. Okay. Let's see here. What else we got there? Yep. Barb says, I have a post bed machine. Great investment.
Yep. Yeah, like I said, if you're just going to do it every once in a while, maybe not. But if you're really getting into patches on hats or it's a consistent thing to do, yeah, it's good to learn.
Yep. For sure. Okay. Let's see here. What else we got? Ramona laughing at the joke. Good. Thanks, Ramona.
You are easily entertained. I'm sorry, Ramona. That was a rough joke. I mean, dad jokes are always rough jokes, and admittedly, part of the joke for me is to ruin it and make it funny. That's the funny part for me. But that's hey, everybody has their way of laughing. I suppose.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. Let's see here. Marissa, hello. Thanks for tuning in. Happy Friday to you. So Eric, I guess since we didn't get a chance to do this last week, since I so let me go back to last week real quick because I think this is pretty fun. So last week for the Two Regular Guys show, we were an hour later, which would have put us on top of this. And then, so there was, I called it the Fishbowl. I couldn't come up with a better name, so it's stuck with the Fishbowl. In fact, other people started calling, the Printing United people started calling it the Fishbowl, which was hilarious. And so anyhow, they had this kind of raised up stage that then was surrounded by plexiglass. And then they had a whole mic set up and speakers, and so people were doing presentations and stuff, and Two Regular Guys were in there. Myself mainly. Terry was kind of tied to the booth. They were so busy. There were close to 30,000 attendees at the show, and that's a crazy number. I think Ford said like 29 some odd or 28.7 or something. But
it seemed amazing.
Yeah. So. To finally wrap the story, so we're in this fish booth, and that night before we started to do the show, I said, "Oh, I've got a brilliant idea. Why don't we try to do something that nobody else has tried this whole time that really is not supposed to happen? Let's do the broadcast, go through their microphones and speaker system into the live, and do a normal live Two Regular Guys show."
Yeah, right.
It was, we were a little bit late. Eric had to be changing things at the last minute for us because we were still trying to get the AV on site correct. We were, everything had worked for just a moment. And then when we came to kind of get the final thing, I think we made some change there that then didn't allow the inputs to go into the computer. So the AV guy came back. He fixed that up for us. The great part was Eric was actually live on screen with us too to kind of keep it rolling. And so like I said, there's these two speakers broadcasting out to the trade show. Eric was being broadcast out to the trade show. So Eric was there in spirit. It was really cool, and I enjoyed the heck out of it. I think it worked okay. I mean, could we do it better? Absolutely. Did we do something that nobody else had tried? Absolutely. So really cool. And I love the fact that people could hear from Eric, even though he wasn't there in spirit. So.
No, it was funny to realize after I was already talking, I realized all of a sudden I'm like, I'm on the speakers at Printing United on the floor right now.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting in my home office, which you guys don't know since I green screen it pretty often. You don't know which one I'm at. I could be at the office in Brilliance. I could be at the home office. You don't know. But yeah, that was pretty funny that I was like, all of a sudden I realized as I'm just sitting there, shooting the breeze with the boys that I was on the speakers on the floor. So I told my wife, I'm like, if you think about the lifespan for someone like me, who's kind of like that, the elder millennial that I am, the thought of how I came up in high school and what the level of technology was to this point where I am in my office live broadcasting to a trade show floor in Vegas with other people as we broadcast the entire internet. And I'm like, that was cool. There was a moment of realization of how far we've come in communication. It was kind of fun. So.
Yeah. So
cool.
we didn't have it turned up all the way, but I'd say
cool.
15,000 people heard you. So
I don't know. For some reason, it just never gets to me until later. Like I just had that moment of realization. I'm like, wow, I should probably think about whether or not I'm squeaking my chair in front of the entire.
Yeah.
I need to work on that. I got to make sure my audio quality is a little better. Live to the floor.
There you go.
Yeah,
live
cool to see
since it was something that I decided that night while I was in bed, it was what it was. So.
I'll actually take something out of this that I think this is good to kind of bring into business stuff.
Yeah.
There is a point to saying yes. Sometimes, I mean, there are times where we say yes to things that aren't good for us, that are, we say yes to a lot of free work. That's the one that we get into dicey issues with, especially like designers. And sometimes we have to talk about whether we're saying yes too much to work we don't need to do. But sometimes just saying yes to something and flying by the seat of your pants is how we get revolution done. And I don't know, I'm with Aaron. I get a little shiny object sometimes where I'm like, hey, I just realized something we can do and it's going to be freaking cool. Let's just do it. And then admittedly, it was a little hard. We had some hard starts, but it turned out really cool. And honestly, everybody there was jazzed, and I loved it. It was a great time. So.
Yeah. And you're exactly right, Eric. I think there's definitely something to be said from that, right? Like I said, this idea, we knew we wanted to do something, but we were gonna kind of go with just what everybody else was doing, right? Kind of just capturing
Yeah.
But you know what? We're like, wait a second. We do live, right? We
That's
have
what we do.
people that are there to kind of be part of the community, even if they can't be there in person. Let's do this. So I don't know how much of the setup you saw, but I had my big screen TV in the booth, and I brought that down to the fishbowl, and I sat it in front of the window so people could actually see the YouTube.
That's awesome.
I was playing the
I wish I
YouTube
would've seen
broadcast
that,
from there too. And then we were sitting up in there with the computer and camera in front of us, and
That's so awesome.
and so, but like Eric was just talking about, that's so important, I think, for us all to, you have a good idea. If you're a small business owner or you're in that place where you can do that, why not give it a try? Could we have failed badly? Sure. Was I nervous up front? Absolutely. And heck, we had to jump through some hoops. Like I said, Eric had to change the time so we didn't lose the live feed because we were still trying to get it going, even though it was time to start the show.
Yep.
But I guess my point being, in hindsight, I look back and I say, just like you said, Eric, like, would it have been better just to go with what works and what everybody else was doing? It probably would have been a little less difficult on the heart.
The recording might have been a little better, but if we think about it, now there's a chance that somebody sees this model, or we decide to implement this model, and then next time it's what we do. It's how we do it.
Yeah,
and
it's how you get better.
Little jumps, right? You make these little jumps, and especially, truthfully, it was low cost. If you think about this, here's the other thing too. And funny enough, I'm going to bring this into a design perspective to a degree once again, because I know I suffer from this. I worry so much about every particular piece that I create sometimes, to the point that I forget that in your career is judged in aggregate. Even if you care about people judging individual pieces that you do, your career is judged in aggregate. How many hundreds of episodes have we done? Even to the point of how many times have we gone live from shows at this point? If you keep putting in the reps, a couple of rough rides is not going to make the difference. Consistency is going to be behind you, for one thing. And then the other thing is, like, you have to realize that the occasional failures are not only fine, but they're educational and they give you ideas. And every once in a while you luck out and it goes well enough and you get it in one, and it turns out to be, valuable right out of the gate. It happens more often than you think. But you had to give yourself some space to be like, all right, well, maybe that wasn't the best. Like, we were not perfectly clean all the way through it. And we aren't on the show every week, for sure. I mess up things all the time. We click wrong banners like I just did. That happens repeatedly. But the spirit of what you're doing is obvious to people who care, who are in the tribe. And perfection is lovely, and that's nice. But I don't know that it's always worth what we pay for it. Let's put it that way. The perfect is the enemy of the good. You may never get the good thing out if you are constantly shooting for the perfect thing.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, we got something good out. It was fun. Everybody enjoyed it. And I think it made a little stir. It stirred up the pot a little bit. People thought, hey, that's a way to do this.
Yeah, exactly. And we were the only ones that interviewed Ford. So,
that was super cool. Yeah, Ford came on. That was awesome.
Yeah. If you guys that might not know who Ford is, he is the CEO of Printing United. So
it was cool.
That was a pretty cool experience. I just have a lot of respect for him. I know that he's come in and, they've changed a lot of things, and there's always, it could be done better. Heck, I've criticized as well, sometimes in places where I thought they could do a better job. And, he's owned all of that. We were having a discussion in the back room about kind of some of the challenges that they've faced, and he's like, he, instead of like, because he's CEO, so he could play the this, that, political, that's not who Ford is. Ford's like, I get it, we can do better, we will do better, and
on top of that,
own it.
He addressed directly while we were in the live. Speaking of all this, during the live, people asked questions that you could have seen as inflammatory if you were the kind of person who took them that way.
Yeah.
People asked questions about the show that were really addressing people's worries about the show, and he answered them live with no compunction. He just went for it. And I respect that, because there's stuff where people had criticisms of what the show was going to be or how it was running that he took in stride and just answered the best, with the best answer he had. And I was like, even if you had criticisms, at the very least, having somebody at that level address it. And honestly, hey, having the CEO decide to do a podcast from the floor, They don't have to do that.
Well, especially since, again, like my last minute deciding to change up the whole thing, I asked him to do the podcast the night before to dinner. And he's like, I'm like, hey, just a wild idea. Would you come join us on the podcast? He pulls out his phone, goes to his calendar. He's like, I've got a half hour at such and such. Okay, we'll see you there. He typed it into his phone. I'm like, all right, that's awesome.
And I'll be honest, I'm somebody who gets shy about this stuff. Sometimes it's hard for me to do, but that's how big the ask is, folks. Ask. The worst you can do is if he goes, oh, there's no way, I'm sorry, I can't make it. You go, hey, thanks for your consideration. That's it.
Yeah.
But if you ask, you might end up with it, right?
For sure.
The crazy thing that might happen is someone might say yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
You're no worse off if they say no, but
you're
expecting
the no. You're expecting the no. You know the no is what you feel like is coming, but they might say yes. You don't know.
Exactly. All right. Well, let's, Eric, I want to, let's talk. No, I mean, we can continue to talk about that. I think there's some comments in here, but the whole point of the half here is to interact with you guys. So I don't want to get too far away from that. Barb asked, will you be at the Dax, Minnesota? Got all the information, March 31st, Treasure Island Casino Hotel. Eric is still, hasn't signed papers yet.
That's the plan. I think I will. I don't know yet. Like I said, because you never know. Things change. Plans change. As soon as I get the contract,
you're not contractually obligated yet.
I'm not currently under contract, so I always tell people, if you're making like life or death travel plans, and for whatever reason I'm part of that calculus, wait until I get the stuff. I'll announce it as soon as I'm signed up. But I think as they're firming stuff up, just in case, I'll say plans are that I will be. Every year so far, I have been.
Yeah. And our success group and myself, I will be there for sure. I've contractually obligated because I've purchased a booth there already.
Well, let's put it this way: there's a strong indication I'll be there, but like I said, until I sign documents and I know what my schedule is, I generally tend to hedge my bets. I tell people, wait and let me tell you.
There we go. All right. Ramona says, I do entertain easily. I work in front of a computer all day. I live a sheltered life. So there you go.
I'm going to hit you with the same on that one. We talk
That's
a lot.
Why Eric laughs at my jokes. I like that.
No, they're good. They're good.
And then MAS in Santa Fe checking in.
Good morning.
International, we've got Justa from Sweden, and we've got Liz coming in from Germany. Thanks for being here, Liz.
You're welcome.
And Chuck, hello, sir. Good to see you. When we were talking about, kind of making that change on the fly, it is. You're really kind of thinking outside the box. And I think we all think outside the box, Eric. It's do you take action outside of the box? It's the real needle mover. I think
we all have these pie in the sky ideas. We just have to. Yeah, you're right. Sometimes it's about just making sure you get them into practice, and it isn't easy. I'm not going to pretend it's easy. Heck, there was times where we were getting going. I was like, man, this show's about to tank. Like we aren't going to get this live done. Mm-hmm. But the thing to do is just sometimes you have to swallow those feelings and just let it roll.
Yeah.
It's not easy. Yeah.
Yeah. And we can go back to that example of that podcast, right? The other part about it is thinking outside the box. I think what stops a lot of us is we don't know all the how, right? We don't have all the steps. We go, oh, this is a good idea, but then what stops us is like, well, I don't really know, because that's exactly the feeling that I had. Like I said, I woke up in the middle of the night thinking, okay, we could do this, and I could kind of see it a little bit, but there was all these like, okay, but how do I make, because we're dealing with. So I'm not going to try to. I'll probably mess something up here, but. Oh, well, sure. What the hell? I'll do it anyhow. Maybe I can get this on the camera without messing things up. So this is upside down my mixing board that I have here. The one that was there in the booth was like 3 times as large with buttons and things that I had no clue about, with all these microphones and all that other stuff. And I'm going, I just need to get audio from there into here. I don't know exactly how to do that, but I'm sure we'll figure it out. And then, we got to that point where, okay, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Got to call for help, right? And so I didn't feel like a failure because I had the AV guy come over. My idea, the idea that we had talked about that we wanted to do together as a group, it came to fruition. Sure. And so just because I asked for help, that didn't make me a failure. So
that's the other thing that's hard. Sometimes we don't know how to be okay with help. I think
Yeah.
that's true too. Sometimes we're
Yeah.
not good at being okay with needing help with something when it's normal for us to be ignorant of something. Here's the thing, ignorant doesn't mean stupid.
Yeah.
Not knowing something at first is okay. You cannot know things.
Yeah.
I trust me, I'm speaking to myself again here. You cannot know things for real.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
okay to not
Exactly.
know things when you start.
Yeah. Yeah. And Liz says it really well here too. Perfection can paralyze one as well, and that's
Absolutely.
100% true.
Intro.
If you don't, Justus says, if you don't ask, the answer is always no.
Yes, absolutely. That's the thing. You never collapse that waveform, right? It's
Yeah.
Schrodinger's answer. It's no and yes at the same time. But no,
Yeah.
you have to ask the question to find out what's going to go on. You never
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Barb is signing up for Dax, Minnesota, so I cannot wait to see you out there, Barb. Can't wait to get a chance to have a face-to-face chat with you.
And we missed Treasure Island last year, so yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
That goes off.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, and the party after the first night on Friday night, you get to do some bowling. All right. I may have to bring my bowling balls this year. We'll see.
You would have professional style, man.
Yeah, there we go. Okay. Mike says, "How did I miss the whole half? Damn it! It's only half, so you know."
It's about a half hour. You'll be fine. Plus,
So now you're getting the quarter. Yeah, that's true. Good point.
Replay squad's always there. I always do that. Like, hashtag replay squad.
Hashtag replay.
Go for
Are we
it.
going to make that a thing? Is that actually a thing for the younger
I did it
crowd?
once, and I wish I hadn't. Oh, there's nothing young or cool about anything we do.
No, that's what I'm
But
saying.
at the same time,
So if this is not young and cool, can we just make it the old and not cool thing? Or
I know. Yeah. This is the funniest thing, and there's this whole series of videos I saw where people were talking about. Which, by the way, I love this. The nickel. Sorry, shiny object. I love the nickel. There was a series of videos where people did where they're talking about where they got deep inspiration from really, really shallow or goofy sources, were like deep thoughts from shallow sources. And one of mine was this. I saw a video from a VTuber. You know what a VTuber is? They're virtual YouTubers. They're people who have an avatar that is animated that they speak.
Gotcha. Yeah.
VTubers. Just understand that's a thing. I'm an internet dork, so I know stuff that I probably shouldn't as an old dude.
Yeah.
There it is. So I saw a clip from a VTuber who was making a joke about it. They're talking about when you do something that's cringy, when you do something that's embarrassing. And they said this, which I thought was the deepest thing I've ever heard from an anime character that was being spoken through by a YouTuber, which was, don't kill the things inside of you that are cringe. Kill the part of you that cringes. And I was like, for such a dumb thing to say, I was like, wow, that is actually profound, because the concept is be you, and the part of you that's judging yourself is the problem, not the judgments you're putting on yourself that are from somebody else's perspective.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's the cringing is not coming from you. It's coming from something somebody told you should have been embarrassed about.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's the thing when we're doing this work. And funny enough, that's the same as us saying yes to going live. It's the same thing as the ask.
Yep.
You don't want to kill the part of you that's, that wants to ask, that might embarrass you. You want to kill the part of you that's embarrassed by things that it doesn't need to be.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the part you need.
I love it. That's perfect.
So there you go. Deep thoughts from VTubers.
Deep thoughts from VTubers. Now we're going to have to make an intro video, and we'll have crazy music with it. Deep thoughts from VTubers.
I have to get a VTuber avatar so I can just show up as an animated version of myself.
There you go. Well, I can see it now. A new show, Eric. A new show coming. No.
I'm just going to start streaming 24 hours a day.
24 hours a day, Eric Campbell as a VTuber. All right.
No.
Barb, bowling. I need the bumper guards for bowling. Hey, just because I have my own bowling ball doesn't mean I don't need the bumper guards.
Doesn't mean I'm good. It just means I have equipment.
It just means that I knew people that knew people, right? Yeah. So, all right. Yeah. Ramona says, you guys are so deep, soul deep.
Yeah, think about it. Let that sink in.
Yeah. Deep thoughts. Who knew the half would turn into the deep thoughts? What was that Saturday Night Live thing that they used to do?
The Jack Handy.
Jack Handy.
I
That's
loved
right.
that.
That's what it was.
I
Yeah.
love that one.
That does actually seem right up your alley for sure. Because you're so smart. You're such an intellectual that
I remember one, and it's funny.
Oh boy!
Literally, I remember this.
Can we say it though?
Jack Handy. I think so.
Okay, all right.
That's how we.
It was on Saturday Night Live, so I guess
it was on Saturday Night Live,
national TV.
Like 30 years ago as a kid when I heard this thing, but I love this thing. It's like I don't know what it is that my inner child wants, but I hope it's tacos because that's what it's going to get. I love Deep Thoughts from Jack Handy. So yeah, if you haven't seen that before, go look it up. It's way old school, pre-HD Saturday Night Live, but they're all golden. All of them are good.
Based on that, we're going to leave you with that golden nugget, everybody. So have a great rest of your Friday and weekend. We'll see you guys later.
I can't believe I said tacos without mentioning Jay Bassell.
His brand is off. You got to fix that. All right. Jay Bassell, tacos, go.
Catch you guys next time.